Next, let's queer up the USA view. Conservatives say Baltimore bridge collapsed because Pete Buttigieg is gay. Early Tuesday morning, a cargo ship collided with the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland, causing a section to collapse. The cause was attributed to a power issue on board. One video captured the ship striking a bridge column, leading to its dramatic collapse. Rescue efforts ensued as workers repairing potholes and vehicles were affected. The U.S. Coast Guard and local emergency responders reported 2 survivors and 6 missing individuals, all now presumed dead. Governor Wes Moore of Maryland disclosed that Buttigieg reached out to him at 3 a.m. on Tuesday, highlighting the swift federal response to the incident. President Biden, speaking from the White House, pledged extensive federal assistance for recovery and reconstruction efforts, emphasizing the Port of Baltimore's vital economic importance and the challenges ahead in rebuilding essential infrastructure. Buttigieg echoed the president's commitment and acknowledged the arduous path to recovery. Despite these efforts, some sought to exploit the incident for political gain. One conservative X account named U.S. Ministry of Truth posted, quote, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg to address Baltimore bridge collapse as soon as he's done chest feeding, unquote. A sort of anti-gay joke conservatives like to crack. George Santos also jumped on the bandwagon, attributing the bridge collapse to Buttigieg's discussion of racism in 2021. Social media is active with anti-LGBTQ+ comments about the gay Secretary of Transportation and actions on the bridge collapse. First, want to put it out there that there's absolutely no merit to this story. Sometimes there are stories that have grains of truth. Pete Buttigieg did not address this bridge collapse and say anything about this bridge being racist, anything woke. All he did was pledge his support and corroborate the president's support of rebuilding the bridge. So there is nothing to the effect of wokeness with his response to that bridge. What they're referring to is some of his comments in the past when he was talking about how bridges historically at times were designed in ways, in part, to keep out certain demographics from certain areas. That's the only thing that he had mentioned.
And that's fact. That's not something that he made up either.
Exactly. And these are comments from, many years ago when we were talking about these subjects more with the Black Lives Matter movement. So you have somebody like, this is clearly just a potshot, an anti-LGBTQ+ potshot. And somebody like George Santos, who is gay, decides, I'm just going to make fun of him for being gay and making chest-feeding remarks and all of this stuff. I mean, when you think that they can't sink any lower, and you have just this week, I know it's not the topic, but you've got the Republican nominee, presidential nominee, coming out with a Bible that only he endorses, and you have these people in Congress that are just saying blatant anti-LGBT comments that have nothing to do with what's going on, instead of expressing the absolute tragedy of what happened.
Yeah. It takes so much away from the people who have really suffered and will suffer as a result. I mean, the victims, the people who have died. I mean, it completely takes away from the truth of what's going on. However, in a positive note about this, I've been watching, of course, because I'm a kind of a news junkie, and of course, let me just say it now, here and now, I cannot wait for Pete Buttigieg to be our president.
Aww.
Oh my gosh. He's so presidential. He's been on the news like nonstop, of course, because he's doing all these press conferences, and he's so well spoken. He so knows what he's talking about and what the intention is, and he's so clear, and he has such empathy and compassion. I think it's just fantastic. It's a bright light in a very, very dark story.
No, the whole scenario is super sad. I mean, when we all woke up to this, it was like, oh my God, those poor people. How many people were on the bridge? Blah blah blah.
Thankfully, not many.
And thank goodness, because it was like 3 a.m. or something. But when I first heard this story that we're talking about today, I thought about all the national casualties and things that have happened in the world that, in some way, shape, or form, is always blamed on us. Right? 9/11, Katrina, all these horrible things.
Even when it happens in red states.
It's still our fault, right? Because we have that much power over the universe. I mean, come on, The chest feeding comment really pisses me off, right? Because if you were to tell a woman that, you would get so much backlash for it, and that's just not right? There are 2 parents taking care of their newborn kids, right? I mean, that's just disgusting to say that. George Santos, shut the F up. Like, I just don't want you to tag anything. Okay,
Go
just
away.
stop talking. Go
away.
away. Disappear. Go to some other country where it's just too much. Pete Buttigieg shows up. He suits up and shows up, right? As soon as he was told about this, he was there, right? Unlike our governor here at Florida, that we have Surfside happen, we have hurricanes happen, we have all kinds of shit happening here, and DeSantis is way too
On a
busy.
book tour.
I'm selling my book. I'm on a book tour. I'm too busy. These are the people that we look up to. Really, I'm blown away.
But this is open season for this childish mockery. And this is what happened when we have somebody like Donald Trump running for president.
Yeah.
Somebody that just very juvenile, the way that he picks a mock name for everybody that he doesn't like, and he goes publicly and he makes
like a bully.
It doesn't, like a bully. It doesn't matter if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's a child, or a disabled person.
Yeah, at all.
He goes out and mock them publicly and humiliate them. That's what happened with this guy, U.S. Ministry of Truth, whatever that is. How sad that this is the current state of our politics, that in the middle of a tragedy that strikes a community, a vital community, somebody goes publicly to mock, the transportation secretary. Yeah. Why don't you apologize? Why don't you show empathy for the six people that are missing
and their families,
instead of being mocking, the Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
My only hope from this, and I think this is happening, is that even people who are homophobic are looking at this and saying, all right, this even crosses a line for me. Like, this is just like, even if I agree with you, like, this just feels wrong.
Right? We're like they're still going to hell, but they weren't the reason. Right?
Exactly. And that's my only hope for this coming election.
This is
so crazy.
They've said worse shit a million times over way back in the day, and people still not getting it. So I don't know if that's going to happen.
This is classic Pat Robertson and Graham and
that other,
right, and those, the televangelist is classic. Why don't we blame COVID on Donald Trump? We should, why don't we blame it on him? Why is it have to always be the gay community?
A lot of people died because of him, so we could.
So we could just, blame him on that, but we don't go that low.
His base doesn't even think COVID's real anymore. It's like, it's a
Bonnie, what's
they're a lost cause.